have less data entry staff than I ever had, but I'm turning over probably 4 times that amount out of our warehouse, maybe 5 times that amount out of our warehouse, with basically less staff than I originally had doing the job. My name's Edward and I own a toy company. We started as an importer, but we're now focusing more on designing and manufacturing. So we went from using a MYOB system, and it was a crazy time of year. It was at August, just right before one of our trade fairs. I think the day before all our staff were flying out of the trade fair, we went from our old MYOB system to a new WMS Datapel system. Not full scanning or anything like that, but the first level where it was controlling the pickers and multiple levels in that regard. And that was relatively seamless. It happened very, very quick. We were finding that there was 1 to 2 people were just permanently sitting on MYOB, and their job was basically to take a sales rep's order and enter that order into MYOB, and then print out a picking slip, which would go to the warehouse. And then when that picking slip came back in again, they'd pretty well re-enter the whole thing again as an invoice. And then the invoice would go out to the warehouse, and then somebody would then have to type into the system all the freight. And I basically had, at a peak time, I'd have somebody permanently sitting under freight software and 2 people permanently sitting at MYOB. And on top of all that, we were getting a whole lot of errors. So we were sending out to customers and there'd be something wrong, an account wrong, and our stock levels are out. And I thought, it's just crazy and there's got to be a better way of doing it. Straight away, we went from basically 2 people doing data entry to 1 person doing data entry. So the saving was an instant saving of 1 person. And then that person, as we grew, basically went into, like that person went into other jobs. So that person, that label was utilized, that happened straight away. I have less data entry staff than I ever had, but I'm turning over probably 4 times that amount out of our warehouse, maybe 5 times that amount out of our warehouse, with basically less staff than I originally had doing the job. You go from a warehouse that in your head's a bit of a mess and sort of works and you sort of got systems to being a very organized, structured system where you know exactly where anything is at any one time. Everybody knows where it is at every one time, and as soon as you add scan pack to that bin locations or scan picking, you just can't make a mistake. Just simply because there's a job that suddenly doesn't need to be done. The whole trick about getting software and getting your systems working well is there's no need in the world to have somebody punching keys for data that already exists. A sales rep should be able to take that order on a phone and have that sync perfectly through to a bit of software and then sync perfectly out the warehouse. But then as soon as you're getting into efficiencies of warehouse the second, you're definitely eliminating another person, because you're eliminating a person that's the person that's doing all the stock taking and the checking and the correcting and the mistakes and the error. That person's gone too. I mean, the fact that we're doing so much more than we're originally doing, and our warehouse staff is the same as it's always been. It's just that our efficiencies have gone up substantially. It was a no-brainer because you could see the cost of the software, but the instant labor savings.